All right, good morning, guys. It is around 11:55-ish, and I just woke up, and it's because last night after flying, I got home I got landed around 2-ish, but then when I drove home, it was around 3:15-ish, and then I was so tired and everything, but I was also so hungry that I stayed up, ate a little bit, read, and I also showered to make myself normal again, because I knew that today I was gonna wake up late no matter what, and if I didn't at least shower and everything, I would definitely feel like death right now, which I feel pretty good. I definitely am dehydrated from sitting on the plane for so long. My entire body's pretty stiff, so we'll have to stretch, exercise, fix that. But it was a good weekend, a lot of lessons. I guess it's Tuesday and I'm done my client meetings. I have 2 client things that I have to take care of right now, which I just did a little meditation, but I have to go and do that, so I don't really get to do my full morning routine. I have to clean up, I have to unpack, I have to go through all my notes and implement those. There's a lot to do today, but they're all gonna be centered around just refocusing and everything I learned on this trip here. So I guess what my day is gonna look like is I'm gonna sprint through these bits of client work that I have to do. I haven't used my trackers very much at all compared to usual this month, so I'm gonna have to go and do that. I read an entire book yesterday, The Leadership Secrets of Attila the Hun. It's kind of like a Genghis Khan-like figure, but post-Romans, not pre. Then I started reading this book. I've had it for a while, but I just never got started with it. I stopped reading the Winston Churchill one. It's kind of the same size after I got a decent ways through it, but this is the setup that I have right now. I got a new mouse pad the day before I left, which is nice. Also, this is the book that I read. It's pretty short, but it's one of those situations now where, oh boy, I just need to get the things that I have to do out of the way. I'm just gonna sit down here, even with it kind of messy, and get that done while I have my coffee or tea, something, and then kind of regroup and recenter to figure out, all right, what am I doing for the rest of today to get all of this thing? Because one thing that I've learned is that whenever you have any kind of trip or travel, you need to spend the next day, yes, getting stuff done, but also making sure you're back in the game and fully functional. So yeah. All right, so I want to make a video sharing, I guess, just something that I honestly really hung up on recently, which is the idea of complacency. And I want to talk about it through the lens of, I guess, where I'm currently at, and I guess what's going on that has led me to want to talk about this. So let me get the camera sat down and simply talk, kind of clarify my own thoughts, but then also share what I have going on. So, complacency. It's something that, just to be honest, I mean, everybody deals with it, and I've dealt with it in many aspects of life, but so far 2026 has been a great year for me. In the month of January, I made some very big strides on the agency side of operations. And then through February, I finished the production. I mean, technically through January, but then starting February, I got the video that I had been stuck on uploaded. And then I also made even more strides on the business end to this point where we're at halfway through the month and we've added on, I believe, close to 4 or 5K in MRR. And not that that's a crazy number, but for kind of the hole that I spent 12 months in was definitely refreshing to be back in operation, because for people that might not have context, I come from the info business, and then before that the agency business, and I did pretty okay numbers in those spaces. However, it's riddled with all of the mistakes you'd expect from somebody going through the rodeo for the first time, especially having only been on the second or third year of business, right? And because of that, it made me bitter for a long time, which I'm grateful for, because it taught me so much about business, and then also myself, and then being able to rebuild myself and grow from pretty much nothing, but then also understanding the business that I'm in and what I want to do as my career at such a foundational level that I have the clarity to do what I'm doing now, which is a great transition into complacency. Because as I mentioned, this last weekend, even though I did a pretty terrible job of documenting it, on Friday morning, so all of Friday was scrapped, flew to Canada. I had a friend who released an album, which was absolutely awesome, and because of that, I spent pretty much, outside of like a little work panic, maybe 2-3 hours of work on Friday. Not the end of the world. Saturday, somewhat same thing, wrote a few scripts. Sunday, not much. And then on Sunday I visited family. Come Monday, I did all my client meetings, and then I had about 10 or 12 hours of travel back, just a lot. Now, I got home around 3 a.m. yesterday, and I woke up late today. Today I did one client meeting, which was short and brief, and beyond that, I got pretty much no work done, just responding to messages, getting a few client videos live, but nothing substantial. And this feeling of complacency just completely creeped in. So I want to talk about it because it's something that I was feeling the week leading into this whole kind of break, but this really exaggerated whatever that feeling was and made me realize this is something that needs to be addressed in an extreme manner. Because what happens if you've gone through consulting.com, which I am re-listening to right now, I'm about to finish, I think I am done it now, Charlie Morgan stuff, or just any research on how you can alter your reality is the word that's used. But getting what you want, you'll notice the pattern of an oscillation, which is a scientific principle. It is, instead of us flatlining at a baseline, we actually exist within two poles that we will go between, and that's what an oscillation is. Now, it's no different than black and white. I don't want to get all crazy on it. The point is that I'm noticing that I am reaching the top part of my oscillation, and I'm at the flat point, and I'm seeing now this little like slope downward. I'm going, okay, if I continue what I'm doing right now, it's going to decline. I am not going to push forward into the next level of person that I want to be. And because of that,
I want to consciously recognize it and then pretty much just address it as aggressively as possible in order to keep evolving. Because I haven't spoke about very clearly online what I'm even trying to do with this series, with the channels that I run, with the agency. And part of that is because I haven't defined it clearly for myself. So I am going to be creating a probably video tomorrow where I go through and I show the actual document where I walk through everything. But now I want to give you the mindset leading into it. And it's 2 a.m. by the way. Again, my sleep schedule is all screwed up because of that long travel day. And yeah, I'm just getting this out there for the sake of, I know when I talk about this, I'm far more likely to act. But let's talk about what I do currently that I know is not great. Biggest thing that I see that I completely dropped the ball on is personal presentation. It is, and right now I'm about to go to bed, so cut me some slack. But by and large, on a day-to-day basis, I might even argue that I look better now than I do some days, most days while working, where I'll wear my 7-figure creator hat that's right over there, and it's pretty dirty and beat up. I have like the sides of my hair unkept. My hair is all frizzy all the time because I didn't even know how to maintain it up until I finally asked somebody today. I am wearing oversized clothing or like a hoodie that has chewed out jawstrings on it. Just not what you would expect of somebody who achieves or wants to achieve the things that I'm planning to achieve. And I've been able to kind of navigate through my entrepreneurial career without having to address these things. But I think it's not that beneficial that I've been able to, regardless, still achieve certain things without changing aspects of myself that I would deem painful. Because at the end of the day, it led to the more painful outcome, which is, for example, one of the next biggest things that I am not great at is beyond appearance and personal upkeep of myself and environment, which, for context, I notice it on other people and I judge others about this, probably because I know that I'm bad at it and it's a reflection of my own insecurity. But I notice when somebody is wearing clothes that are wrinkly or they are uncomfortable in whatever they're wearing, and you can see even as I describe it, it's things that I personally feel insecure about. So there's that. The next one is going to be the way that I communicate. Now, I think as a speaker and being able to articulate myself, I've gotten a lot better. However, the thing that I still am not good at is being a leader in the way that I communicate. Now, I've learned to manage others where I can direct a team towards a certain goal. But the difference between a manager and the difference between a leader is that a manager is somebody who you see as somewhat relatable. You see them as on par with being an equal. A leader is somebody whom you see and you look up to. And tying back into that appearance thing, I am not able to be perceived as that leader very often because I don't make the attempt. And I'm in pretty decent shape to where it's not a matter of effort when it comes down to long tail things like being in shape. It's literally a matter of effort in when I wake up each day deciding to wear good clothing. And it's not as if good clothing is expensive either. It's really a matter of just intentionality. So those are two things that I want to speak about. And just another example of where that ties in is people pleasing. I wouldn't say that I do it from the perspective of I'm gonna let myself be manipulated. I'm quite good at seeing the potential downsides in something. What I'm not good at is holding confidence in addressing those. So I'm just thinking about examples from my life, but I'll dance around certain things, having fully clocked from the beginning that it might be a problem. And because of that, what ends up happening is you just go down this slow crash and burn cycle. So I want to avoid doing that as just another add-on minor thing. Now, when it comes to where I feel complacent is if I continue the behavior that I have right now, where I don't upkeep my personal appearance, my environment, the way that I speak, and becoming a leader, becoming an authority, especially as I age and get older, you just manifest into this people-pleasing, not much of an authority person. And I look at what maybe I'm 19 now, but that was cute when I was 15 starting, and it could still pass as that now. However, I look at the people that I personally look up to, and you kind of have to just eradicate that from yourself. And I imagine myself now, if I go, and I try not to think too far in advance because the images just get so skewed. You have no clue what's going to be going on. But if I look at myself 3 years from now, I'm 22 years old. If that version of me is still wearing hoodies and baseball caps to hide the fact that he doesn't take care of his hair or has a big forehead, and is still not comfortable being a leader and is still taking shit from people, I will be very disappointed, right? That's another one, is it's important to know your role, but I'm getting to a point now in my career where you have to take the conscious swing to just not be somebody's little bitch. And I've played the pawn when I first started. Then I played the unsung hero in the info business. Not the unsung hero. I played the unsung operator role. Not that I was some like crazy thing and, it would have, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I played the role where I didn't get the appreciation from a broad perspective, and I am very grateful for that because it's a stepping stone. I look at maybe some people who didn't get that opportunity to kind of understand the pecking order, and you can see that they're just walking into complete disasters. And there's many ways, especially in the info space, that can manifest. It can be money problems, it can be a whole bunch of things. So I played those two roles, Then I've gone back into becoming an absolute student to learn YouTube. Then I went back to the pawn, making videos for people for a one-time payment, then free, and then for some people even just free overall for around 6+ months. And then I started taking on a few people paid, and then I got the breakthrough, the Creator Breakdown series. But I've been slowly getting myself back up to that point now where I look at my business and I have one editor on board who does my main channel videos, and I am currently running around balancing 8 clients. And the question for me is, do I want to, and just for context, I believe this will get me better client results, but do I want to, for lack of a better word, keep running around and being the bitch at my company and doing everything myself? Not that an individual role like being an editor makes you somebody's bitch, right? And in some cases it can be, and that's also understanding the pecking order, right? If somebody's starting in entrepreneurship, now me being in my me being into my 4th year of doing this, it's fair for me to kind of put someone in their place when it comes like, hey, you gotta learn, et cetera, et cetera. And if they're okay with that, then awesome. But I now need to be the person that hires those people. And the perpetual student mindset of, and it's been a recurring theme throughout a lot of my life. I could get very personal and share you experiences where I've had this pattern of becoming really good at something, but becoming too addicted or too comfortable in the process of improving or practicing at that thing that I never actually just claim the throne or win, for lack of a better word. So now I'm in this situation where I just have to, with intentionality, turn this into what I want it to be. Because I know the student version of myself, which is the guy that only wears the hoodie and the hat every day and shows up and da-da-da-da, he's awesome, but at the end of the day, he is capped and he doesn't achieve what I want to achieve, which is turning 7-figure creator into a full-fledged media company, right? I have my personal channels where I'm producing content. I have the agency where I'm producing content directly for others. And then I want to have at the agency or the business side of things more underpinnings that, for example, instead of a done for you where we're doing everything including the editing, we have a done with you where we just remove the editing, because that's the 80% that leads to 20% of the results. In order to build this into what I want it to be and to continue documenting myself on this series into the person that achieves massive success, that version of me is not the guy wearing a hoodie. And what I am doing now is realizing I'm at the top of an ebb and just making sure that I'm establishing a new standard for myself and I'm re-clarifying the goals that I want to have. Because I know that if I carry myself with intentionality in the way that I dress and conjure my environment, and I start by doing that, but then also clarify my goals at 7-figure creator, which I think I've done a decent job there. It's really just around the presentation, because that immediately flips things in your mind. When I'm sitting in my hoodie, it ties me back into this like very boyish and non-entrepreneurial mentality, which is doing it all myself. And just to clarify, there are very successful people who wear hoodies and for like wear thing, whatever. It's not a matter of the physical item, it's what it represents for me personally. So I now need to change that and change the, I guess, stimulus that is leading to this by presenting myself better, because then I'm not going to be sitting there and allowing myself to edit for 12 hours a day, because I know that my time is worth more money and I can just hire somebody. So that's where I'm at right now. And I'm going to be going through and building out my self-alchemy again, which is something I've done. This will be my 10th time, maybe even 11th, doing this. So I have a lot of experience iterating these things. It's not unusual for me to do. It's just I have momentum across everything that I'm doing right now. And I know that because I'm nervous and on edge about this, I don't need to be, and I can find solace in the fact that I'm going to figure out a solution because I'm aware of this. I would be more scared if I didn't think the world was ending. So now, kind of what my rest of week looks like is I have the main channel video, which I need to get my editor to finish. I gave him I'm gonna probably give him a bonus, and then if he does a good job on this video, because I'm gonna leave a pretty harsh revision just based off what I initially saw, a moving forward pay grade, because I think he deserves it, learning a completely new software, and then assuming he meets my expectations and standards that we have for the video, delivering. So that's one thing for the rest of this month. The next one is hiring another editor, because why am I sitting here doing all of this? It doesn't make sense. Why am I not batching videos? Doesn't make sense. Why am I not charging higher ticket? Doesn't make sense. Why am I not actively doing acquisition to sign on more clients? Doesn't make sense. So I see these opportunities to grow, and I just have to make the decision to stop and act on them. And that's really the only thing that I've derived from today, is just the time away really made me think about the trap that I was kind of wormholing myself into, where I was doing the right things, and then as a result of it, you're tested because you now have to, for lack of a better word, boss up at this new level of responsibility in order to get back to that place where you can then push forward the needle at a bigger level again. So that's where I stand with everything. And with all things, it's a tug of war, where I can give the example of meditation or any kind of daily discipline. When I first started in entrepreneurship, it felt impossible to do a given habit for more than 2, 3, or 4 days. Felt like pulling teeth. Now, 4 years into this, I know that the things that I do effortlessly from a discipline perspective on a daily basis, me when I started would have lost it And what ends up happening is the change is so gradual and small that it doesn't fully render to you the fact that you've made such a massive jump. And to add to that, the change is also, the change up, it only comes in the form of pain. So you feel undisciplined, you feel, literally I'm doing it right now. I feel as though the world is ending, yet this is probably a marker of things going forward. So yeah, it's interesting to say the least. However, tactical implementables, there was this revision that I was supposed to get to my editor. I still have not done, which not good, but there is more editing to be done on the video pre-revision that I just wanted to get done, and I can let him know that. So it's not a massive issue. Now, tomorrow when I wake up, I'm gonna have a lot of client work to do. I also have 2 client meetings, which I can see playing into things. Yeah, it's just one of those situations where after that I want to sit down and get really clear on what I need to do, and then start to actually, from that point on, not run my business like a pawn anymore, and start to make some moves in accordance with how I actually want this thing to look. But I need to define and make that super clear first, so I'm not acting in bad faith. So that's kind of my way to summarize it, which is a lot better. And I have a million notes that I just need to compile of everything that I've been putting down scattered throughout the trip and just thinking. Now, it is very late and I have spoke for 30 minutes now, which these videos are my therapy, if you haven't realized. I am now going to head to bed, and then tomorrow will be a very important day, the Wednesday. So it's very late. Hopefully I can get up early enough to where I can find time to get my client work done early so that before my meetings I can stop worrying about this, and then I can spend the rest of the day on myself and like what I need to do to work on the business. Because at the end of the day, even for my clients, it's like you don't want to have somebody that doesn't work on the business, because at the end of the day that now shows that they don't have the intentionality to help you, right? It just becomes a commoditized service and not something where I have authority. So that is something that I also understand, and I don't want to build that relationship. Right now I have very commoditized delivery relationships with my clients, which is okay, but at some point that has to transition into you also being able to be authoritative when it comes to telling them what they need to do in order to achieve the desired result, and that doesn't happen unless you do it yourself. So that is all. Been reading this book on Napoleon. It's very long, so I'll do a few pages of that, and then I imagine I will be so bored from reading this intro section about his bloodline that I will go right to bed. And I'm gonna set my alarm early. So that's the update for today. And if you made it this far, you're weird, but appreciate it.